All right, let's just jump right into this explainer. Today we're exploring how two incredibly fascinating Japanese concepts literally flip our modern, exhausting obsession with productivity totally on its head. We're going to dive into the science of empty space and see why doing less on purpose might actually be the ultimate cheat code for a thriving life.
Here's our roadmap for connecting infant development all the way to adult burnout. We'll start with the modern life trap, move into katarike and utori, break down 4 practical shifts to build structural slack, and wrap up with the true power of empty space.
So, Section 1, the modern life trap and hitting what we call the Sunday wall.
You know exactly what I'm talking about here. The source material shares a story that's honestly a little too relatable. You sit down on a Sunday morning, coffee in hand, ready to, quote-unquote, get ahead for the week. And 20 minutes later, you just completely freeze. You're not sick, you're not sleep-deprived, you've just hit an absolute brick wall. Because when we try to optimize every single minute and treat productivity like some sort of religion, we aren't actually getting ahead. We're just guaranteeing an inevitable burnout.
Okay, Section 2, katarake and building future minds. To cure this burnout, we actually have to rewind all the way back to infancy.
Take a look at the stark contrast in communication styles here. Here in the West, we often slip into that high-pitched, exaggerated baby talk, right? But Japanese mothers take a totally different approach. They naturally narrate their day in full, complex sentences to infants who literally can't even speak yet.
This isn't just a one-way monologue. It's a profound method called katarikake, or narrating care. By treating a tiny baby as an active listener, parents are showing a structural respect for the child that actively builds crucial language pathways in the brain. And get this practice actually predicts academic success years before a child ever sets foot inside a classroom. Crazy, right?
The numbers behind this are just staggering. The famous Hart and Risley study highlights the massive impact of this early communication. They estimate a gap of 30 million words. 30 million! That massive difference profoundly shapes how a child's neurological development plays out. It literally all starts with giving a child the space and the respect of being a real conversational partner.
Moving right along to Section 3, utori, or the 80% rule. Let's look at how this foundational space applies to us as adults.
So if katarikake is about creating space for an infant's mind to grow, utori is the adult equivalent. It's often translated as spaciousness or leeway, but the source material hits the nail on the head by calling it structural slack. It's the deliberate, conscious decision to leave empty space in your daily life, and we need to be crystal clear here. This empty space, it is not laziness. Leaving that void is actually the entire point of a healthy, functioning life.
Think about a car engine. If you redline a car, running it at its absolute maximum RPM, it doesn't actually make it drive faster for long. It just makes the engine overheat, break down, and die young. That frantic pace is a perfect metaphor for our modern burnout. Utori is about finally taking your foot off the gas and actively choosing to run your life at 80% capacity instead of always chasing 100.
Which brings us to a super profound realization from the text. Utori is the literal difference between being efficient and being fragile. When you optimize every minute of your day, filling every single gap in your calendar, you might pat yourself on the back for being efficient. But actually, scratch that. You're just making your life incredibly fragile. One slight delay, one unexpected flat tire, and the whole system just shatters.
So how do we actually fix this? That brings us to Section 4, 4 shifts for structural slack. Let's get into the playbook.
The source material outlines 4 highly actionable shifts you can start tonight to reclaim your structural slack. We're going to start with your calendar.
Shift number 1, blocking off literal empty time. And I don't mean free time to run errands or productive rest like reading a self-help book. You must schedule real, actual appointments on your calendar to do absolutely nothing useful. As research from the University of Illinois shows, these brief mental diversions don't interrupt your focus, they actually restore it. Your brain doesn't fail because it's weak, it fails because we never, ever let it pause.
The second shift is reclaiming your transitions. Most of us treat every 90-second gap in our day, like waiting for the kettle to boil or standing in an elevator, as a problem to be solved by yanking out our phones. But a Microsoft Productivity Lab found that this constant barrage of input and notifications actually doubles the likelihood of making mistakes on complex tasks. By treating every micro break as a chance to consume content, we are literally destroying our capacity for deep work. Instead, we need to lean into another beautiful Japanese concept called ma, Ma is the beauty of negative space. When you let the silences sit during those transitions, your brain finally gets the room it desperately needs to connect ideas and process emotions. It's in these quiet periods of Ma that you actually generate your absolute best ideas.
For the third shift, we're applying Utori to your finances. Instead of giving every single cent a highly specific job, leave a tiny pocket, maybe just 5% of your income, with absolutely no job at all. It doesn't go to investments, it doesn't pay bills, it just sits there as structural slack. This isn't your emergency fund. It's a crucial psychological buffer. It ensures you aren't just one bad day or one unexpected expense away from a complete mental collapse.
All right, Section 5, the power of empty space. It's time for a new paradigm.
This brings us to the fourth and final shift. Stop trying to fill awkward silences in conversations. When someone finishes speaking, just let the pause sit. That silence? That's where the real thought happens for both of you. As the text beautifully notes, the silence wasn't empty. The silence was actually where the meaning was.
For so long, hustle culture has told us that empty space is the ultimate enemy. But from infants experiencing katariki noke all the way to adults embracing utori, intentional space is where everything good actually comes from. If you've been feeling deeply tired in a way that a good night's sleep just doesn't fix, you need to realize it isn't a sleep problem. It's an utori problem. You are severely lacking structural slack.
So, I want to leave you with this question to chew on. What could you discover if you finally let your life pause? Try just one thing this week. Go for a walk without your phone, or block off 20 minutes just to stare at the wall. Ask yourself what true value you are sacrificing by constantly filling the void. Because honestly, sometimes doing less on purpose is the absolute most productive thing you can possibly do.